Warm welcome to Dammam, the capital of Saudi Arabia's eastern province, situated on the coast of the Persian Gulf and home to a quarter of the world's oil reserves. And warm is certainly the word to describe conditions at the Prince Mohammed bin Fahd Stadium, where the temperature is a rather sticky 38 degrees, and the humidity will further sap the energy of the players on what is also a rather spongy surface. The build-up has been edgy, with both coaches betraying signs of the tension, a surefire indicator that both really feel that this is perhaps the pivotal game in Group D. Our referee today is Yuichi Nishimura from Japan. He's a familiar face for the Australians, having taken charge of the Asian Cup group game with Bahrain in Qatar and last year's friendly with Paraguay in Sydney. As far as the team news is concerned, Saudi Arabia have sprung rather a surprise. Frank Rijkaard making 4 changes. He's dropped the star strikers Yasser Al-Khattani and Nasser Al-Shamrani and replaced them with Naif Hazazi and Nawaf Al-Abed. Ahmed Otave comes in for the injured star midfielder Abdulaziz Al-Dosari, and he's also included an extra defender in Rashid Al-Rasheb. 2 captains, Lucas Neal of Australia, of course, taking the lead for his nation for the 38th time. And the Saudi Arabian goalkeeper, Hassan Al-Ataibi. As far as Australia are concerned, confirmation that Holger Osik has made 3 changes. Out go Matthew Sporanovic, Neil Kilkenny, and perhaps surprisingly Tim Cahill. Michael Zullo back at left back with Matt Mackay shifting into midfield. Sasha Ognanovsky is in alongside Lucas Neal. Mila Jedinak comes into the midfield, and Brett Holman pushes up to partner Josh Kennedy in attack. There's a confirmation of the Saudi lineup, and perhaps just a little bit more pressure Frank Rijkaard has heaped upon himself by dropping the ever-popular Yasser Al-Khattani. He's already under fire for leaving out another one of the Saudi big stars, Mohamed Noor, from this squad. The Saudi FA have thrown open the gates for free this evening to try and get a full house to support the Green Falcons in Saudi's 3rd largest city, and it's pretty much a full house as we take in again confirmation of the Australian side. And the key, as Holger Osik has pointed out in the press conferences this week, is better movement of the ball and off the ball. Osik and Rijkaard last shared a World Cup stage back in 1990, that infamous game between Germany and the Netherlands when Rijkaard was sent off for spitting at Rudi Voller. Osik, of course, was Franz Beckenbauer's number 2 on the bench that day, and the Germans went on to win the tournament. So away we go after a 30-hour flight and minimal preparation. The Socceroos going to battle against 4 times World Cup qualifier Saudi Arabia, but if they can pick up another 3 points, Andy Harper, then really they'll be halfway to a place in the final round.
Mustn't get ahead of themselves, however, Simon. They were a little bit wobbly, and it's been very much spoken about in their performance against Thailand, but it's nights like tonight where often this group of Socceroos tend to find their best, and they're going to have to, because a lot of factors going against them, culminating, of course, in these very hot and energy-sapping conditions against a team which needs to perform. They were flat themselves away to Oman in Game 1, and there's enormous scrutiny and pressure on this team by the local fans and media, as you'd expect.
What do you make of Holger Osik's team selection, leaving out Tim Cahill?
Well, we're not 100% sure as to Timmy's fitness, whether he's carrying some sort of knee injury or whatnot. We're told it was a pure selection tactical thing. Holger was pretty voluble in his displeasure with the lack of coordination between he and Josh Kennedy up front in the Thailand game. And it's an enormous fillip for Australia to have a player of Tim Cahill's stature to come off the bench if and when needed. Especially in conditions like these. It was 43 degrees during the day, Dammam. It's dropped just slightly. Still a very tough night, in particular for the Australians. This is Housawi. Gives it straight to Jedinak, who in turn
Gives it straight back to South Korea. It's controlled by Abdullah Al-Dosari. Actually, two Al-Dosaris. Abdulaziz Al-Dosari, the left-footed midfielder, is out through injury tonight. Abdullah Al-Dosari plays at left back. That's the fourth time these two nations have met. The last meeting was down the road in Riyadh back at the 1997 Confederations Cup. The stakes perhaps rather higher tonight. Jassim. Ismail will tidy up. First touch of the football for Mark Schwarzer. Flat clearance. Catching his opponent. Happy to wave play on. Bogdanovsky.
In many ways tonight, Simon, it's an easier game for Australia to play. It's only playing at home. Pressure on them from their fans to push up and win the game. It will make for more space, certainly in the front end of the pitch for Australia, which they didn't enjoy against Thailand. They struggled against the packed defence of Thailand. But just to bring, I guess, to some perspective to that performance, Thailand v Australia at Suncorp Stadium, was just how well Thailand played today against Oman. It just goes to show they're no mugs and they were good value against Australia. They'll be disappointed they didn't get the win. It does provide some perspective for that Socceroos performance.
Which again, Holger Osik was keen to point out, understandably so. This is Rashid Al-Raheb down the line for Hassan Moath, who looks as though he's playing in a more advanced position than he did against Oman.
Yeah, he was playing right fullback against Oman, flat outing for the Saudis. That's a terrific first contribution from Michael Zulo there. Left fullback, a very strong challenge. He's going to have his work cut out for him tonight. Hassan, number 12, really can motor. Very, very lively customer.
This is Miller Jedinak. Holman sets off on a diagonal run. Zulo will scamper forward. And a corner is the end product. Michael Zulo has done really well there.
Well, he was cutting a very, very focused figure before the game, Michael Zulo. Starting to find his feet in Holland with FC Utrecht. He's got a wonderful chance here now with the national team.
So the first corner of the contest to be taken by Luke Wiltshire. Referee's just gone to sort out some push and shove between Kennedy and Osama Housawi. Two lanky customers. So the Australians already sweating profusely. They'll probably lose about 3 or 4 kilograms tonight. Wiltshire's delivery straight down the throat of Al-Ataibi. The early release subsequently. Valeri back covering for central defenders who'd ventured forward for the corner kick. No foul for that challenge on Taysir Al-Jassim. Chance for Brett Anderton to try and motor. Instead it's with Al-Montashari, former Asian Player of the Year back in 2005. Now Rashid Al-Rahab. Ahmed Oteif just clipped by Jedinak. Free kick for the Saudis. Much teeth grinding in this part of the world when Saudi Arabia missed out on the last World Cup. They're not used to not being at the game's showpiece events. Qualified for the last 4 prior to South Africa. Lost out in Asian qualifying in the playoff against Bahrain. They're building some momentum here. Knocked out of the air by Schwarzer.
That was the manner in which they failed. There was also Pissarro, the coach, who took them to the Asian Cup where they failed again, but it was the manner in which they didn't get past Bahrain, Simon. They were playing at home. They had the lead in that match and Bahrain snatched it about 3 minutes into injury time. It was catastrophic from Saudi, really.
Which pretty much sums up their performance at the Asian Cup as well. They've been through another couple of coaches since then. 7, in fact, since the last time they were at the World Cup in 2006. Really is a hot seat in every sense of the word. Just kept in play by Wilkshire. Neil.
This is exactly what the doctor ordered for the Socceroos. It's been a very composed and balanced start to the match. Controlling the tempo, opening the field up now, down the right-hand side through Lukey Wilkshire. They really need, because of all the things they're having to deal with, to control the tempo of this game. Keep possession of the ball, drag the Saudis out. Look to get Michael Zulo in behind down the left-hand side. He's playing very wide. Australia's in possession. He's got plenty of toe about him as well.
Now Jedinak stretching and missing the ball. And miscontrol from Hassan Moath, perhaps showing a defender's touch in an attacking zone. Now it's with Matt Mackay.
He certainly looks more comfortable in these advanced positions. He's
even playing at left back against Thailand. He was one of Australia's better performers on the day. Neil struggling to keep pace with Naif Azazi, who slips it through, and Schwarzer and Carvaleri almost getting in a tangle. There was a half shout for a penalty too as Al-Abeid went down, but Yuichi Nishimura was right up with play and waved the appeals away.
Put that down as a tremendous save from Mark Schwarzer. Nearly red faces time for Carvaleri, who was working so manfully to provide extra cover after the defence was breached by Lucas's Neil inability to win possession. Very nervous moment for the Socceroos.
Now Jedinak gets a free kick. Frank Rijkaard has said he's determined to get a more youthful Saudi team. He's taken some pretty bold decisions tonight, leaving out 2 of his main strikers. Azazi's pace was the problem for Australia. Kennedy. Azazi is one of those young guns. Big responsibility on his shoulders tonight, leading the line for Saudi Arabia. Everton claiming obstruction, not given. Now Taisir Al-Jassim spotting the run of Hassan Moath. Cross comes Ognanovski.
Coverage, very good coverage, because he's Grease Lightning. Hassan Falata, the number 12. It's a very direct outlet for Saudi already. There's that terrific piece of work from Mark Schwarzer. Look how hard Carvaleri is working to get back. Just nearly went so horribly wrong. Australia must be careful as they look to shrink the field by pushing up.
Here's Hassan Moath, drives it hard across the face, and it's Lucas Neil away to safety this time, and Sasha Ognanovski just making a point to Michael Zulo to focus and concentrate. Not allow Hassan Moath to get in behind him. Saudis building up a bit of pressure here on Schwarzer's goal. Rashad Al-Raheb trying to hit the byline. Well, it was good initial play. Cross was pretty woeful. Al-Jassim looking for Hazazi.
Well, it's a key for Australia as they look to push up and squeeze the field when they don't have possession, condense the space, and they're watchful for that ball over the top. Because of the speed of the front three, and it's a 4-3-3 that Saudi are playing, enormous pace across that front line and too much space in behind, a ball over the top. Australia's defence could be in trouble.
This is Brett Holman on the occasion of his 50th cap for his country. Little milestone for the attacking Aze Alkmaar player. Seems only 5 minutes ago he was making his debut. Was in fact in this part of the world against Bahrain in 2006. Holger Osik and Relio Vidmar, the Australian Brains Trust, trying to guide the nation to a third successive World Cup finals. Copped a bit of flack though, didn't he, for the performance against Thailand? Justified in your eyes, Harps?
Yeah, of course it was. I mean, Thailand were very good opponents. Let's give credit where it's due, and they made for a terrific contest. And they did their bit.
Made the third World
with analysis and criticism on the chin. Indeed, that led the charge in some of it with their self-analysis, which is what you'd expect. Not looking to hide. They got the 3 points. Now they've steeled themselves against this very difficult assignment here tonight in Dammam.
Yet an act losing out to Rashid Al Rahab. It's tidy work by the fullback.
And again, just to put this into perspective, the Saudis effectively have had an extra day and a half rest because their first game was against Oman, which is a 45-minute flight away. Whilst they were making that easy trip home and getting ready for tonight, the Australian squad were embarking on a 4-flight odyssey to get into 40, 45-degree climates and get a day and a bit to prepare for a game. So they've got to be very, very careful tonight. Energy conservation, play smart, take the chance or chances when they come.
There's Josh Kennedy trying to create one. Emerton. Wiltshire in field for Holman. Rides one defender. Easily broken up though by the Saudis. Good work by Wiltshire. Jedinak. Zullo. Now Valeri. Let's give him more licence to roam forward this evening. Mackay. Jedinak. Saudi Arabia have got plenty of bodies behind the ball. Pretty much in the same way that Thailand did in Brisbane on Friday. It's up to Australia to try and find the gaps, move the ball quickly. Maybe not that quickly.
Well, Milo Jedinak hasn't found his range yet. He's missed a couple of passes, had a couple of heavy touches, hasn't had a lot of football. He's yet to settle really in England with his club, Crystal Palace.
Beautifully killed that by Lucas Neal. And that is Australian debut against Saudi Arabia back in 1996 as an 18-year-old, as he then was. He's played under 10 Australian coaches since, including caretakers. Al-Abeed of Rijkaard's changes this evening. Al-Dossari, little give and go with Al-Abeed against Valeri. Danger here for Australia. Al-Abeed across the face, but only there at the far post. Schwarzer happy to see it drift behind. They've had one or two little moments down that left flank though, Andy.
Yeah, look very promising. Al-Abeed There's not a lot of him, but again, his low centre of gravity, his change of direction is very sharp, he's very fleet of foot as well. Mark Schwartz reasonably comfortable with that shot come cross.
There he is, now off Al-Abedu, who plays for Al Hilal. He once scored a goal after 2 seconds in an under-23 game a couple of years ago. Goal which was reckoned to be the fastest ever on record, and wouldn't you know, the game was later ruled invalid because one of the teams played an overage player. So I'm sure Al-Abedu wasn't best pleased. This is Carl Valeri. Jedinak looking for the switch. Kai available.
Oh, that was better from Mila Jedinak. Well done, Matt Mackay is always a willing recipient. Looking to give Frank Rijkaard more than his share of headaches this evening. I'm sure that'll be the case. When we talk about Matt Mackay now, he wasn't new to the national team setup when he went with Holger Osik to the Asian Cup in January of this year, but really since then he's looked like such a seasoned professional as far as international football is concerned. Fantastic rise for the captain, former captain of the Brisbane Roar.
Now, of course, with Glasgow Rangers. Now, Everton's found a bit of space in behind El Dosseri. First time cross into the middle. Emerton again. It's a bit quiet against Thailand, Brett Emerton. That usual combination between he and Wiltshire down the right-hand sides didn't really have its usual pep.
No, but they've been very reliable, and you'd expect, given what's at stake here tonight, the two of them will get back to their usual output. Fortunate pass, that last one from Carl Valeri, just a low option, narrow angle pass when Australia could have built some pressure. It's a very important part of any football match, but certainly when you're playing in such difficult conditions. When you get the chance to put the squeeze on your opponents, it's not going to happen terribly frequently. You've got to take those opportunities when they come. Almost better to be more cautious rather than ambitious for the sake of piling on that pressure. Valeri just letting the Saudis off the hook with his selection there.
As some of the travelling Australian contingent, a few expats made the journey. There's not too many of them. The ground otherwise pretty much full to its 35,000 capacity.
But reasonably quiet. I mean, they started moving in here in good numbers, very noisy numbers, but 2.5 hours before kick-off, making almost more noise then than they are now. So it's a moral victory for the Socceroos in this opening stanza.
Zulu under heavy pressure from Hassan Moath, and Saudi Arabia have pinched the ball briefly.
Good experience there from Michael Zullo as he was running out of space and running into trouble. Plenty of countries around the world, the players in that situation, experienced, high quality, high paid international defenders will look to feel for the pressure and try and draw a free kick.
20 minutes played in Dammam. Still goalless, not too many chances. In fact, probably the nearest we've come to a goal was Carl Valeri's inadvertent back pass. Wiltshire feeling the hot breath of Nawaf Al-Abedu on his neck.
Interesting that Mark Schwartz didn't come for that ball.
Kennedy too far for Jedinak. It's not the sort of night when you want to be sprinting after misplaced passes.
What we know about Carl Valeri and Mila Jedinak is that their capacity for physical output is enormous. They showed that in spades during the Asian Cup in January. Mackay on the left and Brett Emerson on the right. It's a serious engine room for the Socceroos.
Brett Holman can get through a bit of work too. And there's some space perhaps for Wiltshire. Took the cross on early. Cleared by Hamad Al-Montashari. Holman looking for the 1-2, but Mackay wasn't there. Ahmed Otaif. Al-Jassim. Al-Jassim. Otaif, Al-Abeid.
That's where Australia really need to concentrate. The best part of Saudi football, traditionally, is that strip across the field, 5 or 10 metres off the front line, in front of the defensive midfield position. Now, get into the rhythm in that attacking midfield area. And that is the barometer for how a Saudi team is going. Australia so far has done very well at making sure Saudi can't get the ball into that part of the field. It's that last attack then when they started to get a couple of touches, some combination and facing to attack the Australian defence. Otherwise, that part of Australia's performance so far has been first class.
Everton. Knocked up toward halfway, and there was a bit of a collision between Jedinak and Ognanovsky. Now Holman. Crisp pass to the feet of the AZ Alkmaar striker. Mackay, time to measure the cross. Everton has some room here. Took it first time. Promising for Australia. Holman trying to link up with Kennedy perhaps. Disappointing. All comes to naught.
Well, the Socceroos just one player short in the penalty area, or a spectacular volley from Holman on the far post. That would have done quite nicely, but it shows the importance of the passing. That was a superb pass from Lucas Neal out of defence to set that attack up.
Okay, too deep for Rashid Al Rahab.
And often Australia at their best, Simon, when the attack starts with Lucas, when his passing is crisp and direct out of midfield and angled along the deck where it pierces the opponent's midfield and releases a Brett Holman or a Matt Mackay. We didn't see it at Brisbane on Friday night, but we saw more from Lucas Neal. His collection of lofted passes into advanced midfield positions, which just invited Siri Wong and John Latit to come in and intercept, get in front of Josh Kennedy, make life difficult. Lasso, the number 12 as well, in midfield with Surat Suka. They just smothered that delivery so well. And when Australia get the ball on the ground and angle their passes and hit them with pace so that the recipient can receive and face their immediate opponents, Australia look a lot better.
Well, the Saudis as the home team only posed a sporadic threat so far. Frank Rijkaard certainly, in public at least, was pretty content with the point they got in Oman. Surely on his wish list tonight would be the 3.
Well, I mean, this part of the world is remarkable, really, for football coaches, and it's no wonder they get so well paid. It's one game into the gig. Even when you're Frank Rijkaard, who's coached the Dutch national team, has coached Barcelona, of course, has had a playing career that's been bettered only by a few, really. He's a super player in his own right. One game in and they're already questioning him. It's just remarkable.
Now, stray one by Australia.
This is the part of the field Australia have to really man up.
Just seen. Ognanovsky on the stretch. Al-Rashab down the line to Hassan Moath. Al-Sawi. Saudi Arabia being forced back towards halfway. Saud Kariri. And perhaps the chance to thread it through, and that was very watchful by Michael Zullo. Otherwise, Hassan Moath was in. Real exercise in concentration for some of these more inexperienced Socceroos, of which Zullo is certainly one.
Well, I guess Zullo falls into the category of one of the Socceroos that the coaching staff and medical staff weren't really sure how he was going to cope with these conditions. They've got good information on a number of the players in the squad because they've been in this part of the world so often. Not so Zullo. He has started fantastically. His decision making's been good.
Here come the Saudis again. Al Jassim, Ahmed Otaif. Straight at Schwarzer. But the threat is there down that left flank.
Lucas Neal squared up, but he recovered and forced the pass to go back outside the penalty area. It was a good strike on goal. Schwarzer very comfortable, nice soft hands. And a good look at that as well.
Holman just found some space there, but Kennedy is offside. That's what Brett Holman, or at least one of the parts of his games that is so impressive, just finding those little holes, those little bits of space where he can pick the ball up and link in with Josh Kennedy et al. Al-Abeid with the dig forwards, easily chested down by Neal. Wilkshire. Infield for Emerton. Outside of the boot for Mackay. Tullo square for Valeri. Wilkshire, awkward one for Emerton that. They've kept possession well, Australia. Wilkshire again. Valeri. Mackay. Half an hour played in Dammam. Saudi Arabia 0, Australia 0. Maybe that's about to change. Here's Matt Mackay. Well, it was with his weaker right boot as well. Difficult to tell from this angle just how close that was. This will give us a better look.
Well, brilliant endeavour from Matt Mackay, and as close as he's going to get from that range with a right footer. A brilliant lead-up play from Matt Mackay, who is looking every inch the footballer here tonight. And that effort came on the back of a very impressive passing sequence from the Socceroos, moving the Saudis from one flank defensively to the other. And they're starting, in the last few minutes, the Socceroos are starting to probe right around the Saudi weak spot. Two central defenders, Osama and Al-Montashari, are very vulnerable in my opinion. Saud Kariri, the number 14, is a good anchoring midfielder, but it's not a great trio. They don't seem to work that well together up against Brett Holman, who relishes that part of the field, and Australia just starting to knock on the door in that part of the field, and it's some real fruit for the Socceroos, you'd imagine.
Now they aim for Azazi, and Hassan Moath was there as well. Again, that delivery from the left flank where the Saudis have had most joy. That's on the right with Rashad Al-Raheb. And Zullo sticks a boot out again to deny them. Wilkshire. Reminder that earlier on today, Thailand defeated Oman by 3-0 in Bangkok. So if Australia were able to get the maximum haul here in Dammam, they would be 5 clear of both Saudi Arabia and Oman, with Thailand's tucked in second. Top 2 to go through from Group D. On paper at least, many people would say that these two are the favourites to progress through to the final round. A lot of football to be played between now and then. Josh Kennedy is yanked to the ground by Saud Kariri. Kariri from the Al-Ittihad club. This incidentally is the home of Al-Ettifaq, another one of the bigger outfits in the Saudi Pro League. All these Saudi Arabian players in the starting 11 all ply their trade at home. Not too many go overseas. A bit of a loose one from Mackay. But the only overseas-based player in the entire Saudi squad is Yasser Al-Khattani, who's on the bench. He's playing his football this season with Al Ain in the United Arab Emirates on a year's loan. And it is perhaps one of the problems they have, Andy. Saudi Arabia.
Well, there's not a huge motivation for the players to go abroad, and I'm not quite sure if Yasser Al-Khattani's move to Al Ain isn't speaking to a couple of bigger issues with him at the moment. He was a hero of the national team and certainly his club, Al Hilal, 57 goals in 87 games. But he's done what virtually no Saudis do, and that's leave these shores to go and play elsewhere. And he looked terrible against Oman. He was a pale imitation of the player we have seen before at the Asian Cup in January of this year. And no surprise, quite frankly, that Frank Rijkaard wasn't going to risk him tonight, risk the team because of him.
This is Ahmed Otaif, just breaking away. Al-Rahab. Otaif, who's been busy in this opening half an hour. A couple of long-range efforts, and he's trying to get in behind the defence. He's offside at the moment. Al-Rahab to tee it up again. Easy for Wiltshire. Al-Abeid will chase and harry Brett Emerton, but he's too strong. It's a brave move by Rijkaard, dropping not only Al-Khattani but also Nasser Al-Shamrani, who's been the top goal scorer in the Saudi Pro League for the last 3 seasons. 2 big stars, and a third, Mohamed Noor, not even in the squad. So he's a brave man, is the Dutchman.
Well, Mohamed Noor, of course, and oh, beautiful work, Brett Holman.
And he's away, Holman. Kennedy in the middle, if he needs him. Still Holman trying to curl it round, but the angle was tight.
Terrific effort. And that touch to roll Osama Hossawi was exquisite, and that's highlighting the advantage that Australia can have if they can work the ball to the feet of a teammate. These Saudi central defenders, they lumber, they're cumbersome, they're reasonably good in the air and not too bad at clearing their lines, but they get themselves in all sorts of knots with tricky ball players running at them, of which Brett Holman is certainly one.
Hassan Moath. Al-Rahab. So they're going nowhere, Saudi, at the moment. Brett Holman just taking the opportunity to take on board some water. Still very warm down there. Zullo prods it forward. Holman will profit. Kai in field. Needed perhaps an earlier release than that, and Kai is angry with himself, understandably so.
Angry on behalf of the rest of the team and people watching through Fox Sports at home. And Josh Kennedy's instinct was to lay the ball off in enormous amounts of space rather than touch forward, continue the momentum forward when the space was there to do that, and bring supporting players into the game. Easy to say from the sideline, of course. Might be difficult to hear communication.
Sasha Ognanovsky, it looks like an AFL player at the moment. It's so hot out there. He's rolled the sleeves up right to the tops of his shoulders. I'm not even sure that's legal. Anyway, he's getting away with it for the moment. This is Al-Abe드. Al-Raheb. Ahmed Otaif takes the throw in. Hassan Moath first to react in towards Hazazi. Partly cleared by Neil. This is Al-Dosari. I'll just see him getting in each other's way over the head of Ognanovsky, and fortunately for the big Aussie defender, Zullo was backing up behind him. Jedinak. Neil. Wilkshire. Everton to Mackay. In general, Andy, is it fair to say Australia's passing has been a bit crisper than it was at the weekend? Of course, as soon as I say that, they give it away.
Always the way. Yeah, they've looked a more balanced unit here tonight, that's for sure.
Wilkshire looking to hit Kennedy, and Josh Kennedy has sneaked the ball into the far post, and Australia have scored. And Holger Osik's faith in the big man is vindicated as Josh Kennedy nets for the second game in a row, and Australia lead 5 minutes before the half-time interval.
Well, brilliant work from the Socceroos, and the passing is better, the structure is better, the balance is better, and that was the first good cross that the Socceroos have hit. By this time on Friday night, they'd probably hit 30 crosses to little effect, and it just goes to show it's quantity, not quality. And Luke Wilkshire down the right-hand side has hit a peach, really, into the Saudi weak spot. And Josh Kennedy, the top scorer in the J-League, rises above Osama, glances the header to the far post, and Australia have taken a hugely encouraging lead as half-time approaches. Hassan Al-Otaibi, the goalkeeper, was a little slovenly across his line, I'd reckon. But that's for the Saudis to fix. The Socceroos have got an enormous advantage here now.
Well, you could hear a pin drop around the Prince Mohammed bin Fahd Stadium. It all seemed to take place rather in slow motion as Al-Otaibi scrambled across his goal line. And all credit to the big fella, Josh Kennedy, on the mark again. That'll be a goal kick, will it? Yes, it will. Despite the efforts of Hassan Moath. And what an important goal, and what a time to score it too. 5 minutes before the half-time break. Good header from Kennedy, but I'm with you, Andy. Goalkeeper did move a little bit slowly.
But that's an outstanding contest to win from Josh Kennedy, really and truly. It's a beaut ball from Luke Wilkshire as well on the back of a good controlled performance from the Socceroos. There's been a couple of nervous moments, as there was always going to be, and as, to be frank, there will be from this point forward, playing away against Saudis. 3 times winners of Asia, another 3 times they've been runners-up in Asia. So they've got a bit of pedigree about them. They are going to have their chances and moments during this game.
Here come Australia again. Holman feeding Kennedy, the goal scorer. Jedinak's there too. He's tripped on the edge of the box. Referee says play on. In it goes. Away by Al-Montashari. The Saudis a bit ragged at the moment. 1-2 between Everton and Wiltshire. Again, they hang it up looking for Kennedy. Too deep this time. Really a hammer blow for the home side.
Well,
it's killed the atmosphere inside the ground.
Well, no less than they deserve, really. I mean, there are going to be some difficult attacks to repel. Their attacking midfielders, their wingers are very sharp, very fast. They're good with the ball at their feet, and the Saudis can keep the ball if they need to. But this is a football team at the moment, irrespective of who the coach picks, that has got very little direction. A lot of the media talk is about the negativity, the pall of negativity that's descended around Saudi football. How important tonight's game is to try and lift that and re-energise the entire federation, the entire football community here. Strong words, but that's what the local media have been reporting. And this first half has not gone at all to plan for the home team. I have to say it's been a very methodical and impressive first half from the Socceroos. They've been right on message, as they say. None more so than Michael Zullo. Has given away the foul there, but he has been flying in this first half. His tackling's been good, his decisions, the cover he's provided. Very good first half.
Which just has a shade over a minute to run, plus any added time. Good feet by Al-Abeid. Field for Ahmed Otaif. Al-Rahab. Hassan Moath. Really loose ball by Hassan Moath, retrieved by Kariri.
Who has to do that sort of work an amazing amount of time for this Saudi team. He does it very well, and they'd be in real trouble game after game were it not for Saud Kariri, the number 14 on the ball now.
Otaif losing out to a very sturdy challenge from Jedinak. Holman will sprint forward. Kennedy has to turn further back.
And again, the man who stopped the attack for the Saudis was Kariri. He was back in position to intercept Schwartz's pass. They'd be in all sorts without him, to be frank.
1 minute of added time, we're into that now. No foul by Everton. Holger Osik is at the edge of the technical zone for pretty much the first time in this first period. Sure, he'll be reasonably satisfied with what he's seen. Certainly the scoreline will please him. As for Frank Rijkaard, well, does he go back to the experience yet lately erratic Al-Shamrani and Al-Qahtani to try and dig him out of a hole in the second half, Andy?
Well, the thing about Frank Rijkaard is you could forgive him for not really knowing what to do. He can hardly know his players. He's going to be relying on the Saudi nationals within his support staff to tell him when the team can actually start pressurising and lifting the intensity, because he's not familiar with these surroundings and what the players are used to. It's a difficult situation, even if you are Frank Rijkaard. It's most certainly advantage Socceroos at the moment.
And that's the way it'll remain until the second half kicks off. Australia in front thanks to Josh Kennedy's goal. There are some boos directed towards Frank Rijkaard from the Saudi supporters who've packed this ground. They've offered not too much, in all honesty, in the first half. Australia, though, it's a case of so far so good. The job half done. They lead thanks to Josh Kennedy's goal. And at the interval at Dammam, it's Saudi Arabia 0, Australia 1. And here's the goal that divides the two teams, courtesy of Josh Kennedy.
Yes, it certainly is a case of so far so good, as Simon Hill remarked, thanks to that goal from Josh Kennedy. Things looking very good for the Socceroos in Dammam, Saudi Arabia. Stay with us after the break. We'll get the thoughts of Ange Postecoglou, Mark Bosnich and Robbie Slater. Don't go away. Been a bright start for the Socceroos in their second World Cup qualifier over in Dammam, Saudi Arabia. A late goal in that opening half courtesy of Josh Kennedy. A case of so far so good, some would say. Joining me for the halftime show, Ange Postecoglou, Mark Bosnich and Robbie Slater. Ange, will Holger Osik, would he be happy so far?
He'd be delighted. I mean, the game plan's gone well. We were a lot more composed on the ball this first half, kept possession quite well. Saudi Arabia helped by not pushing on, and they played a pretty low tempo as well. And we got a goal from a pretty good move, obviously by design, getting down the line, Luke Wilkshire, and a good goal by Josh Kennedy. There's only one sort of worrying aspect, is that with such a low tempo, is you just got to watch the Saudis. They had a couple of dangerous moments in that final third, and our back four, and Mark Schwarzer in particular, we just got to keep concentrating, but job well done so far. Yeah,
let's have a look at that goal from Josh Kennedy. We haven't had too many chances, but certainly this one counted, Bozza.
Yes, it did, and we were saying all along on Friday against Thailand what a massive difference it is when you cross the ball beyond the 18-yard box. Not so sure about the goalkeeper, to be fair. Looked as though it went in slow motion, but in all fairness to Josh Kennedy, got up very well and was right in the corner. Good ball by Luke Wilkshire, but massive difference, and Robbie and Ange both made that point on Friday when you cross the ball from beyond the 18-yard box, not before it.
Okay, we'll talk more about that in a moment. But firstly, in terms of other events that took place in the game, a shaky moment for the Aussies. Robbie, Carl Valeri almost scoring an own goal.
Yeah, it was a pretty good attempt at a finish, wasn't it, from Carl? Not sure. He's obviously running back at pace. He's obviously just got caught in two minds, but he's tracking back there. You see him coming. It's great that he's tracking back, but there, whoops, and you couldn't even call it a back pass because it's sort of off balance, and he just gets his toe to it, and then if he had lifted it, he would have scored.
If he scored, Rob,
we give him a red card.
You reckon if the referee gave him a red card, any complaints?
No.
Well, particularly down that left-hand side for the Saudis, they did cause a little bit of trouble. And we'll look at a couple of the opportunities that they did have.
Yeah, we spoke about maybe the weakness being on the right-hand side in terms of our left-hand side of defence, but they have got in behind a couple of times. And as I said, they tend to play fairly slowly in their build-up, but when they get in that front third, they do quicken up the tempo. And I guess that's a harbour for a keeper as well, for Mark Schwarzer, because he hasn't had a lot to do, but when they do get in the box, they do look dangerous.
Yeah, they do, and you made that point continually throughout the first half, Andrew, that their ability to change gears. They're used to playing in these conditions, and I hope the viewers at home do appreciate how hot it is. If they're looking at the game and think it's a little bit slow, and all that, the conditions are very, very hot. And when they are that hot, you have to temper the way you play and the amount of time that you play at full pace, or you're just going to run out of legs. And you saw some of the Australian boys, Sasha and even Zulo and that, who were obviously affected by the heat. And one thing Saudi Arabia do well was they play in these conditions all the time, is what Ange was talking about during the first half to us in the green rooms. They basically play at first gear, then they move up to second, and once they get in that last third, then they go. Then they get back and they have a breather again. They've done that very well. And the defence, and Mark Schwartz's done well when he's called upon. And the defence especially, they almost put you to sleep. You've got to be concentrating 45 minutes away, which would be a cracking 3 points.
I think they nearly put their own goalkeeper to sleep.
I think so, Rob. Yeah, I think so.
But luckily, we haven't seen much of that. Most of the stuff has come down that left-hand side. And Al-Abeed, the little number 7's, caused some problems. Hassaz is a danger, the number 9 as well. But it hasn't come, I don't think, on too many occasions. And we've looked rather comfortable. And the tempo's probably suited us a little bit, but like Ange said, that one thing that we've got to be careful is when they get in that final third, when they just up into the second and what was it? The third gear?
Fourth, fifth.
But very comfortable at the moment.
Yeah, as I mentioned, we've only had a couple of shots at goal, a couple of opportunities. Ange, talk us through the few that we had.
Yeah, Matty Mackay again had a bright first half, and again it's just his positiveness when he gets the ball. He runs at people, he creates opportunities. This one's come off a defender, fallen onto his right peg, but again it was his initiative to break the lines, go beyond that first man, and the same with Brett Holman. But we all mentioned here, Boz and Robbie, just keep going in the box.
Keep going, go across the play. Always in this type of position, you take yourself across the play, gives you a chance of a penalty, and just back yourself. One of the best players I ever saw, a proponent, that was Dwight York. Always make the defender make a decision by going across him.
Okay, well, obviously we're having a look at the stats now. 1-0, the all-important one there at half-time. In terms of possession, we certainly have had the bulk. Shots on goal, 5 in total for the game. 3 for the Aussies and 2 for the Saudis in just the one corner. So not a lot dividing this at the moment. Guys, you guys have touched on, we saw the Josh Kennedy goal. What about all this talk, particularly before the game, about the combinations in attack and what would work best? What are you seeing now? What conclusions can you draw from this half, Robbie, so far?
Well, look, I think they're comfortable, but I don't think we've seen a lot of combinations. Holman's done well at times by popping in between the midfield and the defence, but there's nothing there that I wouldn't have seen with say, a Tim Cahill in the team in a different position, not with Kennedy up front. So I'm fairly comfortable, but nothing world-breaking at the moment.
Emo's been better today.
Emo's been a lot better, good use of the ball, and he's tracked back and done his job well, and he's been neat and tidy as well.
This is when his fitness comes in very handy as well with these conditions. Well, as always, plenty of football to look forward to on Fox Sports. We're in the middle of the Socceroos World Cup qualification, but of course the Olyroos kick off their London Olympics qualification campaign. That one is at Hindmarsh Stadium in Adelaide, a great stadium there, Wednesday 21st of September from 7:30pm Eastern. Catch it all on Fox Sports HD. Look out for that one, a big game that will be with great atmosphere. And of course the Premier League returns this weekend on Saturday night. Sunderland versus Chelsea at 10 to 12, 10 to midnight Eastern. And of course there's plenty on offer on Viewers' Choice. Arsenal v Swansea, Man City. Oh, we'll move on. Fair enough. They don't want to listen to me. Sunday night, Norwich v West Brom from 10:20pm Eastern. Fox Sports 2 HD. And so far, so good for the Socceroos in Saudi Arabia. 1-0 at halftime in their second World Cup qualifier. And Bozza, Robbie, we haven't got long to go before kick-off for the second half. And what's your opinion in terms of, you guys have talked about tactics and dealing with the conditions. What do you think the message would be to the Socceroos at halftime? Really
just try and control the game and concentrate's the biggest thing. Concentration. Don't fall into the sense that we're getting too comfortable. I think that's going to be the key for us.
A quick one on changes. Do you maybe not at halftime, but do you expect to see it? What do you expect?
Make changes because this is a big game for them, and it's. I think Harps and that talked about how important it is for the whole of Saudi football and Frank's job.
Okay, thanks very much. Let's take you back to Prince Mohammed bin Fahad Stadium and your commentators Simon Hill and Andy Harper for the second half.
Welcome back to Dammam. Australia leading by the only goal at the break, and very interesting as the Saudis went off down the tunnel. The fans really giving it to Frank Rijkaard and the team, and his response has been immediate. He's going to make at least one change. The player on your screen at the moment is Yahya Al-Shehri, who plays for the local club here, Al-Ettifaq. So he is on, and Nasser Al-Shamrani, who we mentioned towards the end of the first period, has also been doing some warming up exercises, but doesn't look as though he's going to take to the field at least for the start of the second period. But I don't think it will be too long before we see him, and perhaps Yasser Al-Khattani as well. Al-Khattani got a rousing cheer as he walked towards the tunnel from the fans. There is no doubt that the Saudis have a bit of a job on if they're to get back into this World Cup qualifier. Good performance by the Australians in the first 45. The tempo of the game was played pretty much to their liking, and Josh Kennedy, of course, giving them that huge boost. Andy Harper, with just 5 minutes of the first half to go.
Well, I think it was an excellent first half from the Socceroos. The constant subplot to the football that's going on is the hurdles that the Socceroos have had to clear in preparing for this game. Enormously difficult. the flying and the jet lag and the heat. There was a very composed first half with the goal to show for it, which was not undeserved. It was a very complete performance. Terrific control from the Socceroos.
Can they finish the job? Here's Kennedy. Prodded forward by Jedinak. It's a great ball, in fact, and Mackay is on here. Holman in support. Emerton is arriving too. Ditto Valeri, but well, Holman's pass goes astray, and now Saudi Arabia on the counter. A promising situation. Ending in disappointment for the visitors. This is Al-Abeed. Easy one for Lucas Neal, at least initially. He's dug his way out of trouble. Appeals for handball. He's still going, the Australian captain. Looking for Holman. Across comes the tall, muscular figure of Sama Housawi. The pressure really on Saudi Arabia in this second half. Not too many places we've been, Andy, in our times following the Socceroos when the fans have given it so badly to the coach.
Well, that's the expectation levels. It's almost like a birthright for the Saudis in Asia that they at least dominate at home. It hasn't been the case here at all. But it's been a sprightly start to the second half. This is the claims for handball against Lucas Neal. Referee wave play on.
Taif, that's a better ball. Al-Raheb looking for Hazazi. Easily claimed by Schwarzer.
I don't think the Socceroos are going to want to get themselves into a shootout here in the second half. They want to keep the game under control, keep the rhythm according to their needs. They don't want the field to open up, and they don't want the Saudis to start moving the ball quickly in themselves. It's going to be a difficult assignment for 45 minutes.
There's the new man, Yahya Al-Shehri, part of the Saudi under-23 squad that finished third at the Gulf Junior Championship earlier in the year. He's got a powerful left foot shot, we're told, and likes to shoot from distance. There he is, a man under pressure already, Frank Rijkaard. This is a great run, slaloming run from Zullo. Australia starting to take control here, and it's Carl Valeri with a stinging drive that forces the fingertip save out of Hassan Al-Otaibi.
Well, good instinctive play from the Socceroos, but it was all started from the positive run of Michael Zullo, who's continued the start of this second half where he left off in the first. It was an outstanding, it has been an outstanding contribution so far from Zullo. A nice effort on goal from Carl Valeri to cap things off.
After the angst of Brisbane on Friday night, it's been a much more measured, much more assured Australian performance. Wilkshire's corner, but referee Nishimura has blown for a foul by Sasha Ognanovsky. Well, pretty clear cut. Gave Housawi a stiff arm there, didn't he?
Well, that was one Asian Player of the Year on another. Sasha Ognanovsky, of course.
Maybe lucky you didn't get a yellow card for that.
The referee has had words with both sets of players from a couple of set pieces now, so they'll want to watch it.
Housawi. Taif, Al-Shehri, Al-Raheb, Al-Shehri lays it off for Al-Raheb, needs a decent delivery, and Ognanovsky at full tilt, managing to deflect the ball clear. Back and it goes towards Hazazi, it's on target, but again it's a comfortable save for Schwarzer. But better from Saudi Arabia.
It was better, much better. A nicely floated cross, but the Australian defence there, Lucas Neal, Luke Wilkshire between them, realising that the contact from Hazazi is going to have to be spectacular to beat Schwarzer from that angle. And they're rousing themselves, the Saudis, as they needed to. key period of the game. Australia needs to see off this next stanza, sap the confidence out of the Saudis.
Al-Dossari's ball a little deep, but Azazi will win the throw-in for Saudi Arabia. He's been pretty much starved of service, Naif Hazazi. This his first real sight of the Australian goal. Regular goal scorer at domestic level for Al-Ittihad. Rated one of the best young strikers in Asia, and here they come again through Hazazi. Taisir Al-Jassim out for Al-Raheb. There's a bit more tempo about their play, a bit more urgency, but Australia stand firm, and Mackay up towards Kennedy on halfway.
Here's Kariri again doing superb work, breaking up an Australian counter-attack. Away they come again, the Saudis.
Al-Abeid. Al-Dossari had made the run, but there's too much weight on the pass.
Well, they've got the run of things at the moment, the home team. Australia are going to have to concentrate really hard. And they're such an enigma, this Saudi team. They've got enormous talent. We're starting to see it blossom now. Quite how they decide and when they decide to get that talent working is a mystery. I've seen plenty of coaches come and go. Consistency, but there is no question, particularly at home when they're feeling good about their football, they're very difficult to contain.
Having said that, you wouldn't say that this current outfit is a patch on their vintage team of '94, the likes of Al-Owarain and Sami Al-Jabbar. Have some good individuals, but struggle for consistency, certainly over the last couple of years. Already casually given away by Al-Rasheb. Zullo sprints away up towards the halfway line, full of energy in these sappy conditions. Emerton to Wilkshire. Holman, little drop of the shoulder. The switch towards Matt Mackay. Good build-up by Australia. Mackay trying to jink past Al-Raheb. Struggle for consistency. Close up ball line. The Al-Montashari to Al-Abeid. Al-Dossari. Little swivel of the hips, got rid of Luke Wilkshire. Al-Abeid again, up against Emerton. Corner for Saudi Arabia.
And Australia are in good position. They're working well to get goal side of the ball. They're providing good cover for each other, and they're certainly, you can tell the concentration levels are high, and still the Saudi opposites are able to wriggle clear with good touch and good technique and a very quick turn of pace on the dribble.
Now off Al-Abeid with the corner. That was Housawi from quite long range, really. Never going to trouble Schwarzer from that distance.
Australia are going to have to see off this storm to the extent that one's brewing, of course. Now, I'm not quite sure what Frank Rijkaard said at half-time. But this is more like a performance you'd expect from a Saudi team at home in a World Cup qualifier.
That has surprised me, Andy. I don't know whether you're of the same opinion, is how fresh the Australians have looked. Given their travel, given the heat.
Yeah, they're in remarkable condition. Anyone who's been in a situation having to deal with jet lag, which is quite severe, to turn up and play football.
Now mistake by the goalkeeper. Brent Holman's away here, slips it through. Josh Kennedy scores a second goal for Australia. And will that be enough to secure all 3 points in Dammam? A horrendous mistake by goalkeeper Hassan Al-Otaibi. Credit to Brent Holman, who was alive to the possibility, and Josh Kennedy bags his second of the contest.
Well, a fabulous composure on the finish too from Josh Kennedy. The Saudi defence has collapsed. And Australia's thoroughly impressive performance so far has just been given another shot in the arm. Terrific work from Brett Holman, just the awareness. And that central defence, so vulnerable. A poor pass, a hospital pass, but there were still numbers there and still an opportunity to clear, but they couldn't react, and that's a very cool and clinical finish from Josh Kennedy. A wonderful return from the Socceroos, who've covered themselves in glory so far. Fabulous performance against enormous odds.
And I can tell you, we're only 10 minutes into the second half, and quite a few of the Saudis are leaving already. Half chance only for Hazazi. Well, Josh Kennedy, he copped some of the flack for the poor performance in Brisbane on Friday, really from zero to hero. It wasn't all his fault, of course. 2 quality strikes, and here come Australia again through the ever-busy Brett Holman. Has that taken the sting out of that mini little Saudi Arabian revival? Nasser Al-Shamrani is being readied on the sidelines. But is it too late?
Well, the thing is, as quickly as it comes for the Saudis, so too can it depart. Talking about their appetite for the contest.
Otaif. It's a good challenge by Zullo. He has been rock solid tonight. Kennedy. Everton's away on a run. Al-Dossari ejected. Now with Saad Kariri. Al-Raheb. Infield for Al-Shekhri. Al-Montashari. Azazi.
Anticipation this evening has been brilliant for Socceroos.
Brett Holman was so close to being in the clear there. Here's the change for the Saudis. Ahmed Otaif to be replaced by Nasser Al-Shamrani, who's known locally and colloquially as Earthquake.
Thatcher.
Josh Kennedy, by the way, takes his Australian goal scoring record now to 12 goals in just 25 appearances, which is not a bad return by anybody's standards. Al-Montashari goes long. Sasha Ognanovsky will gobble those up. Holman, not quite on the same wavelength as Kennedy on that occasion. Al-Montashari strides forwards. Zulo's there again. He's been terrific. Holman. Now Saudi Arabia push forward. They are going to leave some spaces further back, but they've got to take that gamble. Here's Holman looking to make it 3-0. Mackay drives it on target, straight into the midriff of Al-Otaibi.
Well, a sweeping counter-attack from the Socceroos.
Well, they've got Saudi Arabia just where they want them, haven't they?
And they've worked and earned the right for that. It's just been such an impressive game so far, and still they're raiding down the right-hand side. There's only one team in this at the moment, and it's not just the scoreboard that's saying it.
Wiltshire pink for the foul. Well, Holger Osik had to answer a few searching questions in Brisbane. The press might be a bit kinder tonight. Still a fair way to go, of course. Played just over a quarter of an hour in the second period here in Dammam. Firework has just landed on the pitch near Mark Schwartz's goal, which clearly gave the Australian goalkeeper a scare, and Yuichi Nishimura is just bringing a halt to proceedings for a moment whilst that is sorted out.
Well, this has been a fantastic foundation right from kick-off from the Socceroos. There was such a measure of poise in their approach to the game. Terrific composure, good balance, good control, and they built their case throughout the first half. They got that fantastic goal from Josh Kennedy to give them the lead going into half-time, and you know, the signs in the second half were this was going to be on for young and old. Frank Rijkaard's men had mustered something. Does continue to be the big question mark over Saudi football. Why the talent, the undeniable talent they've got, isn't there on show when they need it, every time they need it, for 90 minutes at a time. But the opening periods of the second half, the Saudis had a spring in their step, and Australia had to dig in, they had to stick together, and they had to focus. And they saw off that, what so far has been revealed to be just a little bit of resistance from the Saudis. Got a sucker punch second goal from some calamitous defending. And now they look every part as though they're going to go on with it, the Socceroos. It's been a very professional performance thus far.
I'm sure they're also grateful for that little mini break to deal with the firework, allowed them to take some more fluid on board. Now Al-Abeid, this looks more promising. Now if Al-Abeid's a real chance. Is that a penalty? Hazazi goes down and Yuichi Nishimura points to the spots, and perhaps a lifeline for Saudi Arabia. Michael Zulo gets a yellow card, which perhaps for him spoils an otherwise very impressive display. But more importantly than that, the Saudis have a route back into the game.
Wow. Just as the Saudis were looking good, Australia hit them with that second goal, and as Australia were looking to cruise, the Saudis are back in it if they can convert this penalty. Irrespective of how the dominoes ultimately fell, it's a questionable call, to be frank. But the damage was done right in the centre of midfield. The little give and go with the outside of the foot cut Australia to pieces. That's exactly what the Saudis have to offer. Their challenge is to dig that up more often.
Well, they've got a chance here, a big chance. Nasser Al-Shamrani with the opportunity to get them back to 2-1. The striker known as the Earthquake. And Schwarzer saves the first attempt, but Al-Shamrani scores on the follow-up. And Saudi Arabia drag it back to 2-1, and it is game on now in Dammam. Well, Mark Schwarzer has made an art form of saving penalties down the years, but there was nothing he could do about the follow-up. And that's lifted the decibel level inside the Prince Mohammed bin Fahd Stadium, Andy Harper.
Well, Mark Schwarzer did everything asked of him. The rebound off the keeper's save felt kindly for Nasser. And Australia will have to steel themselves again. It's concentration time for the Socceroos.
Well, he's known as the Earthquake, and he's just put a little tremor underneath the feet of the Australians, who were, up until that point, really cruising towards victory. Here he is again, Al-Shamrani. Hazazi maybe came off the arm of Bogdanovsky. All of a sudden, there's a spring in the step of the Saudi Arabians. Al-Raheb to Al-Shamrani. Jelinek stands firm, and Zullo will clear.
Well, this is the test we've been waiting for. The Saudis, make no mistake, they will be coming in waves.
Well, the crowd are back in the contest. That's important too. Testing moments for Australia. And of course their first goal in this World Cup qualifying Group D. A pity for Michael Zullo, confirmation of his yellow card, and indeed for Mark Schwarzer, who gets the right way and made the block. Can't really ask for more from your goalkeeper. And listen to the noise around this stadium now. Clever dummy. Doesn't quite have the pace to get there ahead of Al-Montashari.
It's a respite for the Socceroos.
Wiltshire. Holman in behind and onside. Not much help. Kennedy's there now. Way to safety by Halsawi. It's quite a dangerous field position that for Australia, but Holman and Kennedy unable to combine.
That's a tremendous tackle from Luke Wiltshire.
And the ball's still in play. Saudi Arabia claiming the throw-in. Hospital ball by Holman. Saudi Arabia on the attack again.
Ragged touch it was from Brett Holman, who's run his socks off in the first half. He's not alone there. There's plenty of teammates who put in similar effort, but that tackle on the sideline was just perfect. Just what the doctor ordered from Luke Wiltshire. Just to knock the Saudis, and in particular Nawaf Al-Abeid, off his stride, and we'll have a closer look next time the ball gets rolled into his feet with Luke Wiltshire bearing down on him.
Bogdanovsky kicks it straight into touch. There's that tackle again that you were talking about.
Oh, it was clean, it was committed, and it was just the right measure of firmness.
Fairness, Saudi Arabia might have had a point that they should have had a throw in, but anyway. It's amazing what a goal can do, not only for a team's confidence, but the crowd's.
One of those moments for Josh Kennedy. He fought hard to get himself in position for the first contest.
Al-Abeid. Saud Kariri. Al-Shehri.
This is the part of the field, and this is the time of the game where Australia just have to be so focused. We With the little touches, the give and go, the Saudi midfielders.
Well, this is what World Cup qualifying is all about through Asia. The sort of test we wanted for so many years, Andy.
There's no question.
Zullo. Valeri. Wilkshire. Holman turns it back into the path of Valeri. Less than 20 minutes to go in Dammam. Australia just being asked a question or two. Zullo. Holman. This is a chance perhaps. Just run away from Brett Holman at the crucial moment. Still with Australia. Wilkshire. Everton to tee it up. Josh Kennedy, of course, on a hat-trick, but easily claimed by Al-Ataibi. Immediate release towards Hazazi. Over the top, looking for Al-Shamrani. He's in behind here. The first touch just wasn't quite good enough and allowed Sasha Ognanovsky to recover his ground. It might have just held up on the spongy surface. And again, alarm bells ringing there for Australia.
Well, he did need a second invitation, Sasha Ognanovsky, to clear the danger. Very nervous moments for the visitors.
Al-Shehri harmlessly behind from Australia's point of view.
And Simon, it's not as simple a matter as saying get closer on your man, because from this point on, 20 minutes to go, fatigue is going to kick in. The Socceroos have done brilliantly to get to this point, but it's naive to expect, with everything that's at stake, the home team and the technical quality of some of these Saudi players, for them just to shrink away and not come and ask some questions of what is very likely to be a tiring Socceroos outfit. But the green and gold, the men in green and gold out there at the moment, they have to access whatever reserves they've got.
Everton. Australia just trying to take the sting out of the game. Valeri. Beautiful interplay between Wilkshire and Everton. And they'll take the corner, Australia.
They've been back to their best tonight, Everton and Luke Wilkshire. In fact, there's been plenty of players who've lifted themselves markedly since just a few days ago.
Now Saudi Arabia have an injury concern. Now Al-Abeid.
The challenge for the Saudis is not just to be up for it when you manage to get the ball in your front third. They've got to start muscling up in defence, and they're not tracking runners. Australia are puncturing their line almost at will. No question the penalty converted by Nasser Al-Shamrani has certainly enlivened the hosts once again. And they've got to do their work right across the field, and they're still giving Australia too many options, too many opportunities.
The stretcher call for Nawaf Al-Abeid. So Saudi down to 10 just for the moment. We've got a quarter of an hour left for play in Dammam. What fascinating minutes they could prove to be. Wilkshire's corner. Now, was there a tug on the jersey there? Yuichi Nishimura has awarded a second spot kick, this time for Australia. Kennedy dragged down. Al Montashari gets the yellow ticket, and Australia perhaps have the chance to make the game safe once and for all.
Well, referee Nishimura had no choice. It was lazy, ill-disciplined defending. He's got a clear. That's indefensible from an international defender. You're trying to get back in the game. You've just got to clear a looped corner, and you take the cheap and easy way out, or at least you try to. But he didn't escape the glare and the gaze of referee Nishimura, who quite correctly pointed to the spot.
And it gives Luke Wiltshire perhaps the chance to win the game for Australia. Wiltshire scores, no mistake. Australia 3-1 up and perhaps out of sight.
And I'd say they've restored a scoreline which is reflective of the general pattern of the game as it's unfolded. An emphatic finish from the spot. And if you want to understand, if you possibly can, what it is about Saudi football, the enigma as we've called it of Saudi football, you don't have to look any further than this second half. They started well, they put Australia under pressure, they collapsed defensively and gave the Socceroos a 2-goal lead, and then with a beautiful bit of trickery around midfield, they won themselves a penalty, they're back into it, their midfield starts to blossom, and then a slight bit of pressure in their own penalty area. Shocking piece of ill-discipline, and they're down 3-1.
What a reliable penalty taker Luke Wiltshire is turning out to be. His fifth goal at international level. And that's really taken the sting, certainly out of the crowd at least.
Well, it's not even the man with the megaphone, he's even gone hoarse.
Or gone home. Now Holger Osic's going to make a change here. The impressive Michael Zullo, the concession of a penalty aside, is going to be replaced by Robbie Cruz for the final quarter of an hour. Well, I think he's done a good job tonight, Harps.
Oh, he's been outstanding, close to our best, no question. And dubious the penalty that was given against him. It's not a criticism of the referee, the view that the ref would have had of that challenge. You can understand how it led to that decision, but when you look at it on replay, could easily have been wave play on, but he's had a super game, no question, one of Australia's best, and he makes way for the man, Robbie Cruz. The two of them came into A-League football round about the same time at Brisbane Roar.
Change for the Saudis as well, perhaps no surprise. Now al-Abeid, who suffered that injury some minutes ago, is going to be replaced by the striker Mohamed Al-Salawi. So no Yasser Al-Khattani. 3 changes made for the Saudis. Going to be an interesting press conference with Frank Rijkaard afterwards, Andy.
Well, if there is tension or clash between the two, it's going to take more than a few thousand booing fans to dislodge the opinion of Frank Rijkaard, I'd imagine.
Here come Australia looking for a 4th goal. Cruz laying it off, a bit short for Kennedy. Saudi Arabia trying to find a way back into the game from 2 goals adrift for the second time. Al-Salawi.
Matt Mackay has gone back to left fullback. Robbie Cruz is out at left midfield.
And he's committed the foul. Robbie Cruz. On for his 10th cap tonight, Cruz. Well, the man with the megaphone is back. Can Saudi Arabia find a way back? Socceroos have rarely conceded 3 goals. They did, of course, against Egypt late last year in a friendly. It's not too often they leave the back door so wide open. There's Hazazi off the crossbar. Schwarzer might have got a touch as well. Well, that would have made it interesting again for the final 10 minutes. They're not perhaps quite dead yet, Saudi Arabia.
Well, certainly not. At least they shouldn't believe that they're dead. There's way too much to play for. And this is a bullet header. Makes some good contact there. Schwarzer was beaten. Nicely floated free kick. Like it was Milo Jedinak who'd just lost his man momentarily. The job not done yet for the Socceroos, as if they needed reminding.
Al-Jassim. Al-Sawi. Al-Shehri. Another easy take for Schwarzer. Cruz. Jedinak. Holman. Who again has worked tirelessly on behalf of the Australian cause. Emerton. Wiltshire. Holman was caught late there, and Al-Salawi is going to go into the notebook. There are some afters too with Carl Valeri. It's Yuichi Nishimura, who's refereed this game pretty well, in my opinion. Certainly didn't miss that challenge.
Oof,
that's a nasty one. That's a really nasty one.
Well, that'll be the end of the section for Brett Holman, I'd imagine. This close to full time. He'll need treatment. Timmy Cale's been summoned. He's had a super game, Brett Holman, as has the referee, but that was a cheap shot from Mohammed Al-Shalawi.
And Holman certainly felt the full brunt of it. And he's not in any particular mood to accept a hand of friendship from Naif Hazazi either. Holger Osik was immediately to the edge of the technical zone, demonstrating.
Sorry, Simon. The culprit, Mohammed Al-Shalawi, came and apologised, which is the only decent thing to do. Give him the benefit of the doubt, and it was a piece of misjudgment. Thankfully, Holman's moving quite freely. Although you can imagine where the ice pack's going straight after the game. Timmy Cale has resumed his seat.
But again, you speak of the ill discipline, Harps. Maybe another example, not just the foul, but the fact that if Saudi were to build up a head of steam to try and get back into the game, they're just giving the Socceroos another 2-minute breather.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is they can throw millions and millions and millions of dollars, which they've done over the years, on a collection of coaches. But if the individuals involved and if the system here in Saudi Arabia isn't dealing with those seemingly or comparatively very basic elements, then it's going to be money down the drain. The Saudis have been to the World Cup plenty of times. They've been to the last 16 once, like Australia has. But I tell you what, they're in the doldrums now compared to where they've been.
Al-Dosari. Ognanovsky finding Robbie Cruz, who rather slices into touch. Saudi Arabia, understandably, eager to get on with things. Al-Shehri. Al-Jassim, back to Al-Shehri. Al-Raheb, they find the delivery. Cruz holds it up. Mackay tidies up. Australia going to bring on Tim Cahill very shortly. Meantime, they've got some defending to do here. Well, perhaps a shot would have been a better option. The angle was a little bit narrow, in fairness, for Nasser Al-Shamrani. Instead, it's Kennedy on the charge. And he's fouled. Free kick Australia. Now the substitution will probably be made.
That's a clear foul, just to tangle the legs. More respite for the Socceroos.
And Brett Holman will make way to nurse and protect that injury. Tim Cahill on for the final 5 minutes.
A top game from Brett Holman, another one.
Well, if we had any doubts about Holger Osik's team selection tonight, Andy, leaving Cahill out and starting with Kennedy, you can probably say he's been vindicated.
Well, there's plenty of coaches around the world who back a goal scorer in form, and that's Josh Kennedy. That decision has been more than vindicated tonight. But there's been a really good mindset about the Socceroos here this evening. The inclusion of Michael Zullo was a very good one. Not only because of his individual performance, because it also allowed Matt Mackay to move up the field, where he has been very busy and dangerous again. Just a thoroughly impressive night out here for the Socceroos in Dammam. If they are to finish off the job, pick up the 3 points, they'll have climbed a mountain, there's no question. Can't understate how difficult the circumstances around this match have been.
Kennedy, well, perhaps asking a little too much at this stage of the game from Everton.
And really, the Socceroos have made a mockery of those logistics. They've made a mockery of them. It's been a Herculean performance against a team, a home team, with a proud history, but which is almost unrecognisable in its current shape.
So it's Al-Salawi, Al-Shehri, Al-Raheb. Well, that pretty much sums up Saudi Arabia's night. And Australia are going to make a third and final change, and it's going to be the double goal scorer Josh Kennedy who will make way for Mark Milligan.
Well, he scored 2. He won the penalty. Not that there was much winning to do in it. He just stood there and had his shirt pulled. But a great night out for Josh Kennedy.
Big smile from Holger Osik towards his double goal scorer. The opposite emotion, of course, on the Saudi bench. And it's very nearly job done for the Socceroos. Just over a minute of normal time remaining, and separating them from going 3 points clear at the top of the group and 5 ahead of both Oman, who they face next in October, and the Saudis.
And refreshing to see Thailand sitting second after 2 games. As to show their performance in Brisbane was no fluke. They were outstanding against Oman. And now it's for the Thais to blow it from here.
The balance of power in Asia, Andy, continues to shift from west to east.
Well, it was a major trend out of the last Asian Cup, wasn't it? We talked about that at length in the Souq Waqif. But West Asia is in all sorts. They've got plenty of money, more than they know what to do with in football terms, it seems. But East Asia has more than a march on them.
Here's Tim Cahill trying to run down the clock, or perhaps pill for a 4th goal. There's plenty of numbers here for Australia. Valeri, there'll be 4 minutes of added time, just behind Wiltshire the pass. This is Milligan. Not a good delivery. The game becoming very stretched in these final moments.
Bogdanovski's made a seamless return to the team. 1 or 2 half stutters in the first half. and he got pinged with the ball over the top in the second half, but his turn and chase, his recovery was excellent. Talking back to the Doha Sports Club in the Asian Cup, remember that turn and chase with that stretch and slide tackle deep in his own penalty area?
Yep.
One thing about Sash Ognenovski's game that doesn't get a lot of mention is his speed. He can run, and he's had to call on that talent on more than one occasion, and he used it once tonight when he needed, and otherwise he's slipped straight back in and done a great job, still rousing the troops there, exhorting his teammates to greater efforts just to seal the deal here in Dammam.
Cahill. Saudi's next assignment, by the way, is against Thailand. That'll be an interesting one. Cahill just offside.
He doesn't reckon he was, and it was close. But it was good movement again. I mean, the Saudis have put the cue in the rack. Very close call. Australia doing as they like now in possession around midfield. They're under no pressure whatsoever. The Saudis will punt it long and hope. A little bit of trickery will help them save some face.
Cruz, Cahill and Yedinak, and now Valeri happy to play keep ball for Australia. Deep inside the final minutes of the added 4. Now all thoughts for Australia turn towards Oman, the 11th of October. Friendly to be played against Malaysia, of course, a few days before that, down in Canberra. They've really got themselves into very, very good position in this group already. Al-Salawi. His only real moments in this game since coming off the bench was stamping on Brett Holman's Achilles. Al-Shehri, this might be the last attack of the game, and it's a disappointing one from the home side's point of view. Look at the watch from Yuichi Nishimura. And it is all over in Dammam. 2 wins out of 2 for Australia. And in the context of Group D, this is a very big win indeed. The Socceroos halfway to securing their place in the next round. Saudi Arabia down, deflated, and on their own turf, defeated. A really good performance by Australia. Josh Kennedy with 2 goals. Luke Wilkshire 1 from the spot. At the other end, Nasrul Shamrani to give Saudi Arabia hope for a little while with a penalty that was initially saved by Schwarzer but then scored on the follow-up. But on the day, Australia just far too good. In the final analysis, the treble, the heat, and all the other things mattered not one jot. It's a win for Australia. They defeated Saudi Arabia here in Dammam by 3 goals to 1.
Presentation